Alright, so we're going to go through how to set up ComfyUI from scratch. We're going to install Python 3.10.9. We are going to install PyTorch 3.0.8. And we are going to install SageAttention 2.2. And most of the files, or most of the versions we're going to install are going to be based on getting Sage 2.2 up and running. We're also I'm gonna talk about CUDA 12.8, I think it is. And I'm gonna show you basically how to install ComfyUI from absolute scratch in a portable version. And let's go ahead and get that done. So, one of the first things you should do is go to, I'm gonna delete this for now, actually. We're gonna go up to the folder that we want to install things in, and we're gonna come up here and do CMD. And the first thing you need to verify is your CUDA version. So it should be nvcc --version. And when you type this, if you get some kind of message saying that you can't find nvcc, chances are it's probably not installed in your path. So if you do edit system environments and environmental path and check, I think it's the system variables is where it will be. I always get these two confused. But if you go to edit it, you should see some NVIDIA folders in here that will allow you, I think it's these two maybe, will allow you to check this. So if you don't have this ability to see this command, chances are you probably either haven't installed it right or it's not in that path there. So double check on how you can fix that. Now you're going to need at least 12.8 or higher to install SageAttention 2.2. If you don't have 12.8, I'll show you how to get it. All you gotta do is Google NVIDIA CUDA 12.8. Oops, I can't type today. You're going to come down here to this CUDA toolkit 12.8. Now, technically, you could use a later version. I'm just going to stick with 12.8. So you click Windows, Architecture, the version of Windows you're using. I'm using 10. exe local. Go ahead and download this file. It's a pretty large file, 3.2 gigs. Go ahead and install that. It installs just like every other driver from NVIDIA. So I'm not going to step you through that, but go ahead and install that file and make sure that if it asks you or if it tells you that the folder is not added to the path variable, make sure you do that. Otherwise, this will not end up working. Once you reinstall that file or install that file, run this again, verify that you're running 12.8 or higher. Okay, so that's step one, getting your CUDA up to date. Okay, step two is doing Python. Now, generally, before we get Python, it seems to be the general practice is to put these portable versions in a folder with this kind of naming convention. So usually it's something like ComfyUI portable, because we're doing a portable version. We're gonna do, portable, NVIDIA, and I'm forgetting the last thing here. Oh, Win. Usually they put like Win for Windows. And the version we're gonna do is for NVIDIA, so just go ahead and hit enter there. So let's go ahead and grab our Python version. Now, I'm going to grab, before we talk about the Python version, let's go look at Sage. Actually, one second, there's a specific website we need. All right, before we get too far into things, we're going to go to this website here. And I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm not even gonna try. It's WOCT0RDHO, and that's the SageAttention. And what this is, these are what I guess they call wheels for Python. It basically is like a pre-configured file that's going to allow you to run Python 2. SageAttention 2.2. And what you want to pay attention to is if you go to releases here, since we're focusing on getting Sage 2.2 installed, these are kind of the requirements. This is what's going to kind of guide us as far as what we can install. First of all, they specify you need 12.8 or higher for CUDA. PyTorch has to be 2.7 or higher. We're going to go ahead and install 2.8, and I'll show you in a second why. Now, before we get a little too far, what I want to point out is the Python versions that this is compatible with. I believe this is 3.9, 3.10, 11, 12, and 13. So if you're going to download and install Python, you want to install one of those versions to get you up and running. Now, I think I may try either 3.9 or 3.10. I think I might stick with 3.10 just to see how that works. Now, the reason why I'm using an old version of Python is because of a little bit of backwards compatibility with some of the nodes for ComfyUI. There seems to be kind of a consensus that the 3.10 Python is kind of the sweet spot for when nodes were kind of produced and what they run on. So take that with a grain of salt. You can install whichever version you want. However, you're going to want to install a version that is capable with one of these files. So from 9 to 13 is where you want to be. Okay, so that's why I'm showing you this. So let's go back to our Python versions. And sorry, let me get oriented. All right, so we're going to go to Python. If you go to downloads, all releases, you should see this second kind of list down here. And if you scroll with your mouse, you can pretty much find every Python since the beginning of time. I'm looking for 3.10.9. Now, one thing that's important to note is you're going to want it to have an installer. And I know 3.10.9 does have an installer. So I'm going to click on this. And you want one of these Windows installers to be an option for the version of Python you're going to install. Now, you may immediately think, well, we probably want the embeddable package. I'm going to warn you right now, I've not been able to get the embeddable package to work. And my conclusion is that the embeddable package is the raw, most limited version of Python. It doesn't have any tools installed with it. So we are going to make a portable version, but to make that portable version, we're probably going to want to use the installer to do that process. The installer is going to have the additional tools and stuff, and we're not going to install it so that it shows up globally. And as soon as you copy the files that we need, you can go ahead and uninstall it. So keep that in mind when I tell you this, that you're going to save yourself a lot of time and headache if you actually do the Windows installer versus doing the editable package. Now, if you're good at Python and you feel the inclination and you can do that, go right for it. But I suggest if you're not that great with Python and you're kind of not sure what we're doing, just go with the installer and follow me. So we're going to go ahead and click the 64-bit installer, which is probably the one you're going to want to download, whatever version you're installing, and go ahead and download that file. So let's go ahead and navigate to that file. All right, so you probably already have a CUDA version or CUDA files downloaded, and now we've got the Python 10.9 installation file. I have a lot of problems with this installer. I can never get it to work right on my machine, and I'm lucky to get it working. So I'm not going to do the full installation process with you. However, I will try and show you the options that are important. So let's go ahead and open this. Now, when you open yours, you're going to have like a recommended section and then a manual section. 100% you want to do the manual, not the recommended, and I'm about to show you why. So I'm going to click modify, but this should look like your custom button or whatnot should bring you to the screen. Now the two important options, one highly important, the other one I think is important. The highly important one is pip. Pip is a tool that's going to allow us to install the rest of the tools we need. Make sure pip is selected above all. Now, I don't know if this TCL, TK, idle is anything we need. I'm going to click it and keep it installed just in case we do. I've never tested that. I just install it every time. So you can test it, not click it, and see if everything works. But I suggest just keeping it clicked. And the documentation and the Python test suite, it's not going to hurt anything to keep it in there. I don't install the PyLauncher. I just don't. And we're going to click next. Pretty much you want everything unselected on here. So unselect all these options. If for some reason you want to install the Python you've downloaded globally, generally you don't want to do that. Generally you have different versions of Pythons for every tool. Every tool is made on a certain version. So generally you kind of don't, I mean, maybe you do, I don't know. You just, in this case, we're not going to install globally. So if you did want to, you would click the install Python for all users, and then you would want this option, add Python to the environment variables. And what this does is it does that option that we looked at earlier with the environmental variables here. You could just search for environmental variables on Windows 10. It should come up. And it's this path option, but it's really this one right here, I think. And what you'll see is that it will put a path in here for the Python that you're going to install. And putting that path in here allows you to access Python from any folder or any location that you're at on your computer. If I go into this folder and I'm just going to type in CMD to bring up a prompt right here. I don't know why that came up. I must have typed the wrong thing. Just going to hit CMD, bring up the prompt. If I type Python version, you should be able to see the version that's installed globally on your machine. In my case, I don't have one, but if you had Python installed globally on your machine, it would say Python version 3 point whatever to show you what's installed globally. And that would be because you would see a path in that path variable that I was just showing you. So that's what this does. This add Python adds it to the environment variable. We don't need it. We don't want it for this unless you plan on having that installed. The other thing is make sure you're aware where this is installing. I suggest just making a temporary folder somewhere and installing to it. All we're going to do is copy the files out of that folder and move it into our portable version. Once we do that, you can go through and uninstall Python. So just make sure you know where this is saving. Pay attention to that. Maybe set up a temp folder and go ahead and click install. Okay, I can't do it because stuff's going on with this installer. I hate Python installers. They cause all kinds of problems for me. All right, so go ahead and install that. Once it's installed, go ahead and navigate to the folder that you installed it to, which I think in my case, I actually forget. Let me look. All right, so here it is. This is my temp folder. And you should see files that look like this for the version of Python you're using. It should probably might have one or two more files or less, just depending on what you're doing. But you should see files that look like this with a Python exe in it. Go ahead, and I recommend that you copy and not cut. If you cut it, you might have problems with the installer if you're going to uninstall it. Just copy them, and then let's go back to the actual location we plan on installing our AI. So I'm going to go into this folder here, and now I am going to make a new folder, and I am going to call this, is important that you name this correctly. It's going to be Python _ embedded with 1D ED. All right, I think embedded is normally with 2Ds. Don't quote me on that. All right, let's go into here and let's paste our Python files. So give this a second to finish up. All right, we're good to go here. Now, one of the first things we're going to want to do is update the pip installer. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and I may not have mentioned this yet, and I forgot to mention this earlier on. You do need Git, the program Git, installed on your system, and that has to be global. Let me go ahead and show you where you get that. Sorry, this is the program here. You just go to Downloads, Windows, and the 64-bit setup for your Windows. I guess you can install it portable. It's up to you. There is plenty of documentation on how to set this up, so I'm not going to go over that in this video. Git is a really popular, useful tool for creating backups of code and things like that. So you need to have this on your system. I would recommend installing it globally. Git is a very, very useful tool. But there is a portable version, so I'll let you go through the process of installing that. But once Git is installed on your machine, and that kind of is not totally related to what we're doing, I just didn't want to forget about it. In fact, I should have said that up front, and I forgot to mention it. So let's get back to this. We just installed Python embedded. What we're going to do is we're going to update pip here. So what we're going to do is we are going to just go cmd to open up a command prompt right to this folder. And what we are going to do is you're going to do this, you're going to be in this folder very often. So you might want to get used to typing this out. Python.exe-m. Pretty much most of the Python commands you're going to run are going to require that little -m after it. And then after we type that out, now we have access to pip. So we can do pip. And actually, let me get the exact command for that. All right, so I was on the right track. I just forgot the exact command. So it's mpip install -- upgrade pip. Now, I want to point out a few things. For one, this is only going to work if you're in the Python embedded folder. So anytime we're using Python exe, we're going to be either in this folder executing it or putting in the command to navigate to this folder to execute Python exe. And in those specific circumstances, I will point that out to you. That we have to navigate to the Python directory. All right, so if you try and do this like in the Comfy Portable Win NVIDIA folder, it's not going to work. It's only going to work when you navigate to this Python embedded folder. And even if it does work outside of this, then it is probably work using your global Python and not the local one here. So that's very important to note, is you always want to be in this folder and you want to be using the one that's installed here, not a global one that you have installed. So go ahead and run this. This should take only a few seconds and it'll update pip. So now we have our tool fully updated. Let's go ahead and go to the next part. All right, for the next part, we're going to use Git. Now, Git is that program I talked about just a minute ago that I was saying you probably should install globally. We are going to go back to this ComfyUI Portable Win NVIDIA folder. We should see the Python embedded folder in there. So just open up another command. This is somehow a little easier than using CD and all that to change the different directories. But it's up to you how you want to do it. So we're going to go to this folder, and we are going to clone the ComfyUI repository. So that way we're going to get, hopefully, the most up-to-date version of ComfyUI. So I'm going to just type in ComfyUI here, and it should be a GitHub repository, and it is this one by Comfy Anonymous, ComfyUI. This is the one you're looking for. Go ahead and click code. This big green button is the only green button on the page, and then copy this link here with the little button next to it. That's all you have to do. Copy that, and then we're going to go right into this back to this Comfy Portable Win NVIDIA. We're going to type this command out, and this command only works if you have Git installed on your machine, so make sure you have it installed. Git clone, and then we're just going to right-click or paste that link that we just copied from this green button here. And we're just going to hit enter. And then you're going to see this is going to go through, and it's going to create a folder called ComfyUI. It's going to go ahead and install the files for ComfyUI. So we're well on our way. We're only a little bit further that we need. Next step is going to install PyTorch. I didn't mean to run that. Let's see here. I was just trying to read it for reference here. So what we want to do is now we want to install PyTorch. Now, again, we're shooting for installing, where is it? We're trying to install SageAttention 2.2. And it's going to be very important that when we do this, we're installing this very specific version of PyTorch. This is kind of a limitation of doing Sage 2.2. You need to use this version. You may be able to get away with some of the other versions. I'm not saying the other versions won't work, but you can clearly see the note here that all of these packages were tested with this version of PyTorch. So this is the version we're going to want to go ahead and install. So let's go ahead and we're going to go into back into our Python embedded. We're going to run cmd to open up command prompt right here. And what we are going to type is we're going to type python.exe-m. And then we're going to install pip install. Okay, so now we're installing something with pip using the Python executable. You're going to type in --pre, pre, then space torch equals 2.8.0 dot dev for development, and this next number, if you didn't realize, looks like a date, so it's 2025 for the year, and then it is going to be 06/27, so June 27th, and I am going to make this bigger so that you can see that command a little bit easier. And in fact, I didn't realize I could zoom in here, so hopefully that makes it a little easier to see. This is what you're typing in here. We're going to go ahead and, well, actually, we're not done yet. So we're going to type in torch vision, torch vision, torchaudio, space dash index dash URL space https colon 2// and apparently it is not wrapping around anymore. So, oh goodness, you can't see it. I think that zooming in screwed it up. All right, let me redo this. All right, sorry about that, guys. So let me redo this. So python.exe -m pip install --pre torch dash equals 2.8.0 dev 2025 06/27. All right, now space torch vision and torch audio. Index URL https colon / download. And I think I put a space in there, which I did not mean to do. Let me take the space out. download.pytorch.org/whl/NIGHTL/NIGHTL/CU128. All right, all of that. So again, this is python.exe-m pip space -m space pip space install space --pre space torch equals 2.8.0 dev 2025 06 27 space torch vision, all one word, space torch audio, all one word, space --index -url space https://download.pytorch.org/whl/nightly NIGHTLY/CU128. Once you've got that all typed out, go ahead and hit enter, and it should start downloading PyTorch. This is a pretty big file. It's a few gigs, so give it some time to download. I'm going to go ahead and pause it here through some movie magic so we don't have to wait. All right, so eventually PyTorch should finish installing, and you'll get to the command prompt again. So you can now close this out. PyTorch is done installing. Now we're going to go ahead and install Triton. And this is going to be another Python command. So we are going to stay right in this folder. We're just type cmd, enter. And now we are going to want to install 3.3.1.post19. As far as I understand it, that is what is required to get Titan 2.2 working. That's just what I looked up. I don't know how true that is, but it seems to work. So let's go ahead and install that now. So of course we're going to start with typing in Python, and of course we're in our Python embedded, python.exe. We're going to do our -m as in Mike, pip install, and we're going to put quotes, then triton-windows equals 3.3.1 dot post19 end quotes. So I'm gonna open that window up a little bit so you can see that there. That's the command. Go ahead and hit enter. Let that go ahead and install, and that one should be pretty quick. Installed fine. We're gonna close that. All right, now we're going to install SageAttention 2.2. I don't know. I think you could probably just put the SageAttention in the Python embedded folder. It's kind of up to you where you put it. I'm going to go ahead and go back to this guy's website. So this is SageAttention for WOCT0RDHO. You want to go to his releases pages, his releases section. And now we have to match up. You're already going to have Torch 2.8 installed. We've already confirmed the CUDA version. What may change for which file you download is the Python version, depending on which one you installed. Now, I installed 3.10, so I'm going to do the CP3.10. That's the one I'm after. If you installed a different version of Python, you need to find that number and download that file. So I'm going to download this one that has CP3.10. Just click on that and download that file. The file's not that big, it's only 11 megabytes. And now I'm just going to go ahead and copy this file right into my Python embedded, so it's right there. Okay, we'll see how this works. Maybe this needs to be in ComfyUI, I'm not really sure. I think they normally recommend that you put it in ComfyUI, but to be honest, I'm not really sure if it matters. So we'll find out. So we're going to go ahead and do CMD. Open up another command prompt right here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to put this in the ComfyUI folder. I just don't want it to be wrong if it does make a difference. Oh, the other thing, it's very important when you download this that you do not have the little 1 after it or any kind of additional labeling on it. If when you download it, you download in multiple copies and you have a little 1 there or something, get rid of it. So that is how it should be named there. In fact, as you're in this folder, go ahead and copy the name because I'll save you a little bit of effort in a minute. So now we're going to go ahead and install this package. To do that, we're going to have to kind of modify this code a little bit. And I take back what I said. When you go to do this install, you're probably going to want to be in the ComfyUI portable Win NVIDIA folder, not the Python embedded, and you'll see why in a second. So let's go back to this folder and open up a command prompt right here. Excuse me. So the command we're going to type in this one, it's very important where you open these prompts at. It plays a big factor whether they're going to work or not. So we are going to do this. We are going to do Python, but because we're not in the Python folder, we need to put the folder in front of our Python this time. So this time we need to put Python underscore embedded with 1D, EMBEDED / Python exe -m pip install --force -reinstall. That may not be required. It probably won't be, but if you're reinstalling it or something, you may need to do that. Force reinstall space. Now, here's what we need to do. We need to point this to the ComfyUI folder itself. So what we're going to do is we are going to basically just type ComfyUI in here, and let me make this window bigger. ComfyUI here, and then we're going to put another slash in there, and then now we're going to paste the name of that file that we copied, that SageAttention file, or the wheel, as they call it. We're going to, if everything worked out, we're going to hit enter. And you should see, it should go really quick. You say installing collected packages successfully installed. Now you have SageAttention 2.2 installed in your system. So we're in the home stretch. There's just about 2 or 3 more things we need to do. Now, I highly recommend that at this point you install ComfyUI Manager. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to go to the Git repository. There you go, ComfyUI Manager. And it's actually made by this comfy.org, ComfyUI Manager. And just like before, we're going to copy the little green button and click copy this HTTPS link. Okay, we're going to come over to here to this custom nodes folder. And we are going to do CMD again to open up a directory or the prompt right into this folder here. All right, so we are going to do a git clone, and we are going to just paste that link in here. Okay, let that go to town. All right, once this is done installing, we are going to go ahead and upgrade or install the requirements for this add-on. Now, the way we're going to do that, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to write this out in a way that any node that you have to manually install into your custom nodes folder, this command will use your portable version of Python. So you want to write this down somewhere, or maybe even make a batch command that runs this command so you can just run it inside of the new node that you have to manually download. Okay, so what you're going to do is first, we need to get to our python.exe file from this folder. And so what that means is we need to backtrack all the way back to this ComfyUI portable when NVIDIA folder first. So, and in fact, before we do that, let's take a step back. We're actually going to want to go inside of the ComfyUI manager, right? So you actually want to be in the folder that you just downloaded from the repository, from your Git repository or the GitHub site. So now in this folder, you're going to run cmd. Okay. With this open, again, we need to kind of backtrack in the path to get this ComfyUI portable when NVIDIA folder. So that's 1, 2, 3 different folders that we kind of have to go back on. So we are going to hit ... // ... That's 3 folders. So that's 1, 2, 3. We are now going to be inside of this Comfy Portable when NVIDIA folder. And what we're trying to get to is the Python folder. So now that we have our path kind of in this folder here, what we have to do is we have to type Python underscore embedded, EMBEDED, and then another / python.exe. And this is going to allow us to reach our Python exe all the way from this ComfyUI manager folder. Okay. Now after that, we're going to hit space, and we are going to go ahead and type in the -m that we always type. We're going to type pip install -r. And then now, because we are directly in the ComfyUI folder, ComfyUI manager folder, we can just give it the requirements text here. So this is the text file that we need to specify. So we can just type requirements.txt. Now, hopefully if I've typed this out, and this could be wrong because I'm doing it off of memory, requirements.text. Let's see if this works. It does not. All right, first thing we're going to try is I might have put the wrong slash in here. Let's try putting a backslash in the folder path. And then hit enter. Okay, and that was the case. So I just used the wrong slash. So once this is done here, I'll go back up to that command so you can see it again. And before we do, what is happening is that we are installing all the dependencies and the requirements to get that Comfy UI manager going. Okay, so this was the command here. And you should save this command, save it as a batch file, write it down somewhere. Because anytime you install a new node where you have to manually download it from the Git repository, you're going to go into that folder that you just downloaded for that node and then run this command. And this command should work for any node that you download. So this is a very, very useful command for you. We're going to go ahead and close this out. Now we actually need to do that same process for not just our nodes, but actually for ComfyUI itself. So now that we've got everything installed before doing this, because we want to get the PyTorch installed first, we want to get SageAttention, Triton, we want to get all those installed so that we don't install the wrong versions with this command. Because since they're already installed, this command won't try and install them, the invalid version. So you don't want to do this to like kind of the last step. But we are going to go ahead and do the same thing for ComfyUI. And to do that, we're going to come back to the ComfyUI portable Win NVIDIA folder. Up here, we're going to do CMD. And now we need to get a hold of the python.exe, but again, our folder location has changed. So we are now just going to type python underscore embedded, python underscore embed, backslash python.exe dash m. Now we are going to get a hold of pip. So we do pip install -r. And now we need to give it the text file location. Now, because we're in this ComfyUI portable Win NVIDIA folder, it makes it a little bit easier. We don't have to do all the ... slash stuff. So we can just do ComfyUI. That's the folder right there. Then we're going to do a slash requirements .txt. And if you find that as you're doing these commands that the command doesn't work and it says it cannot find the file, double check that you're opening a prompt in the same location I am, and double check that you're typing out the paths. You know, the path should be relative to wherever this folder is that you start with on the prompt. All right, so let's go ahead and hit this. And this is now going to go through and install all the dependencies for ComfyUI. If you tried to run ComfyUI right now before you did this, you would start getting errors one at a time saying that it can't find this part and it can't find that. So if you start getting errors when trying to start up ComfyUI, chances are you forgot to install the requirements. All right, we've installed the requirements for ComfyUI, so we are up to date on all of that. We are pretty much good to go. So let me go ahead and show you how you can make a little batch file that will ensure you are running your SageAttention and your floating point 16 and run your ComfyUI. All right, so if you were to install the portable version of ComfyUI, you would find that it comes with a few different versions of this batch. And if you open these up, they're basically all the same command. They just have different flags on them. Okay, that's really the only difference. They basically just set different settings as you open up ComfyUI. Generally, you're probably just going to have one of these unless you're doing something special, or maybe you want to use the CPU instead of the GPU. Here is what the CPU one looks like, just in case, so you don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to download the portable version just to get that. I'm just going to create one batch file here that is going to suit our purposes. Now, I'm just going to create it as a text file, and I'm just going to put on here run AI underscore AI. And now it's important you change the text file, the text extension to BAT, like a baseball bat. And then it will ask you, do you want to change this? You absolutely do. I'm going to right click and say edit. And this is the command you're going to want to put in here. Now, I will say it is very important where you put this batch command. If you try and put it in the Python embedded or ComfyUI, you can do that, but you're going to have to change these paths around. So just be aware of that. It's important that if you're copying and following along, that you make this batch command in the ComfyUI portable Win NVIDIA folder. So go ahead and this is the batch file python underscore embedded slash python.exe space -s space ComfyUI slash main.py space -windows standalone build space -fast space ftp16 underscore accumulation space -- use -sage-attention. And then you can put pause at the end if you want. Go ahead and save that file. And we should be good to go to run ComfyUI. We should have everything installed. Titan 3.3.1 with our SageAttention 2.2. Let's go ahead and run this guy. And you should notice it will say running with SageAttention right here at some point. It'll say the F16 accumulation running with SageAttention. So we can see that that's installed and working. Keep in mind, you don't have any nodes installed at this point. This is a real raw copy. I have a workflow, so the manager is already, I don't even think this is the manager. ComfyUI is just letting you know you don't have the 2.1 VAE tensors, safe tensor for WAN 2.1. And then it's going to let you know you're missing a bunch of nodes. Now, if you installed that manager correctly, you should see install all missing nodes. If you have a workflow open, you may not get any of these windows if you don't have any workflow open. This is just a workflow that I have used in the past. And because it's a fresh copy, we're going to get all these errors saying that it cannot find these nodes. So what I recommend you first do is go to your manager and just click Update All. And I really recommend that you kind of keep this output window visible as you click this Update All button. This will kind of give you a clue as to if you're running into errors or whatnot. Apply ComfyUI has been updated to 3.44. Apply updates. So I'm going to click Restart. Are you sure you'd like to reboot? Yes, I am. Let's go ahead and let this update. I don't understand why ComfyUI has to update even though we directly downloaded it from the repository. But we're just going to follow the prompts. Yes, confirm. We're just going to close out of this again. And now if we go to help, we should see about ComfyUI 3.44. Front end 1.234. It looks like everything installed. I'm not sure if this was that an error occurred. I don't think so. One thing that I like to do, it just makes it easier, is just to use ChatGPT to read this log for me. I could sit there and sometimes this log gets pretty big and it gets kind of tedious. And I just really don't feel like reading it. So I'll just come over here to ChatGPT. Whenever it decides to load, try ChatGPT. And I'll just put, what errors do I have? And paste this in here. And ChatGPT does a really nice job about giving you any errors that might be giving you problems. I'm not sure why it's restarting in legacy mode. Potential database or revision issue. It's mentions no target revision found. For the context of SQLite database implementation, I don't know if that's important. CUDA Pi, your system is running Pi, blah, 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 with NVIDIA. CUDA, this looks fine, but it's worth noting that you're using development build of Pi, to which could potentially cause issues with compatibility. We know that. Let's see, overall. Okay, everything looks good. I didn't see any necessarily any errors that stick out. This is just something I think that Comfy Manager constantly does. Every time you open it, it does this ComfyUI update thing, but I'm not sure about that. So everything looks good at this point. ComfyUI is up and running. The manager's up and running. Everything's up to date. What I would recommend at this point is shutting it down and start doing the nodes for your workflows. If you don't know what that looks like, let me go ahead and run that for you. Just give you kind of a rundown on how you can use that manager to get the majority of your nodes installed without much effort. Now, I already have these files saved somewhere else. I'm not going to download them manually, but feel free to click download here. And in fact, I'm going to just go ahead and close everything down, and I'm just going to move those files that I have already downloaded right into my Python. So I'm just going to take this models folder, and I don't think there's anything pertinent in here. I think I'm still going to do this one at a time because I like things to be clean. So at this point, it's just cleanup. You're pretty much done. If you want to continue watching to just kind of see how to go about the models and things, please feel free. So I am going to go into our new install here. ComfyUI, I'm going to go into models, and I am going to go into, I don't have any checkpoints. I don't have any clip vision. I do know I use this. I forget for what, but I know I have a workflow that does use that. And I didn't want to actually move it. I just wanted to copy it. All right, configs. I think these are here by default. They are, so I'm not going to copy that. Control net. I don't have anything for control net. Diffusers, nothing. Diffusion models. I do have quite a few of diffusion models. I will say that the most common one that I probably use are the ones with the Fusion X VAC ones there. So I am going to go ahead, and personally I always get confused on which ones I need. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my models one at a time, or my workflows one at a time, and then install these as needed, because I think when I first started doing this, I installed some that were not required. Embeddings, don't have any. Don't have any of this. Don't have hyper networks, LoRa's. We do have LoRa's. I do have LoRa's. Now, I know a lot of them use this detail enhancer. A lot of them, again, I want to just copy it here. I think there's one that uses CosVid. And this light one I know is used for sure. So I'm going to copy this here. Now the others, I don't know if they're actually used. I'm going to copy them anyways because I feel like they're LoRa's. Pretty sure I use this CosVid. Detail enhancer, got that. CosVid. I got two CosVids, and I think this is the one I'd want. Realism boost, detail enhancer. Okay, got all that. Don't think I have anything there. Don't have anything under Photo Maker. RemBGA, nothing there. I don't even have RemBG over here, so I don't think I'm gonna bother with that. Group, don't have that. Sam's, don't have that. Text encoder, yes. Text encoders these are some of the ones you definitely want to get. I will say that there are text encoders, the ones that we use for WAN 2.1 are all the clip style, CLIP. There are some models that have very similar or the same name, but they are not based on the clip model. So they do not work. And I have come across a few that are not clip. They have the exact same name, and I get this array size error. If you run into that, double check that, for one, these files are not corrupt. Sometimes when you download them with batch commands, they do get corrupt. I've had that happen in the past. Also confirm that they are for the clip version. I'm not fully sure what that means, but I do know that they need to be based on clip. So let me go back into my models and text encoders. I definitely have used this one. And I think I have used this one before. I don't think I've really used this one. I think this is kind of a lower version or a reduced version of these two. I've got a 4090, so I don't really need the reduced stuff. Okay, Ultra Analytics, don't need that. UNet, this is where most of your models are. I will say the Fusion X ones are definitely ones I used. These are the ones I am going to wait to see what my models require, because I have a bunch of different ones here and I'm not sure exactly which ones I use. Their naming convention is so close. So before I actually copy any of these, I am going to go into each of my models. I've only got a handful of them, and then just kind of install them as required. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and run my AI. I shouldn't get that issue about, oh, the WAN 2.1 VAE. Oh, did I skip the VAE? Oh, goodness. Oh, that was the folder I did not want to close. Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. I had skipped one of the more important ones. Models. Goodness. Models. VAE. And this is pretty much the only VAE so far that I have found that I have needed. I have had this specific file become corrupt and give me that array error issue. Always make sure that re-download the file if you get that array size issue first, and then verify that the one you're using is the correct one for clip. So let's go ahead and go back and run our code here. Okay, and so now we no longer get that issue with the VAE, but we have a bunch of clips, a bunch of nodes that need to be installed, and this is one of the advantages of the manager. We're just going to go click install all missing nodes. Now, when you do this, you want to be on a fresh window here. You don't want a ton of stuff in here, because this can make the window very long. And when you're doing this specifically, I highly recommend that you actually send this through ChatGPT just to quickly verify that you have not installed something incorrectly or something did not get installed right. And in fact, I don't like doing all the nodes because sometimes that list can get too big. So I think what I'm going to try and do is go to custom nodes and workflow. And these are the ones that I'm missing. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a batch file that is going to go ahead and download all these and install them automatically for me. So let's go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come over to my ComfyUI portable Win NVIDIA, and I am going to make a new folder or a new text document. I'm going to call this install nodes, custom install custom nodes, and I'm going to label this .bat. All right, I'm going to go to edit. And now what we're going to do is we're basically just going to do a bunch of git commands that are going to install into our ComfyUI folder. We're going to install them from this folder into our custom nodes and into this folder here. So what we're going to do is we are first going to do Comfy, or actually first we need to access pip, all right? So from this folder, we need to be able to get a hold of pip. And to do that, we need to get to the Python folder. So we're going to type Python. This should be copy and paste for the most part. Python embedded. Python embedded / Python .exe. Okay, now we're going to do our -m pip. Oh no, I'm sorry. This first one, we're going to do a clone command, a git command. And we're going to do this inside of ComfyUI. So we're going to do git clone. And we're going to want to specify when we're downloading this too. I tend to use ChatGPT as a shortcut for things. I could do this manually, but I'm just going to make it quick. What I'm going to tell ChatGPT is I am in this folder here. I am in this create a batch in this folder. Let me take a step back. Create a batch that will use Python from this folder that is in the same folder as the batch. And then I'm just going to come up here. I'm going to go to custom nodes. I'm just going to copy this here. That will use git to clone a repository. Clone the repository. And let me go get the repository. So the nice thing about having this manager open is that I can just open the link to the Git repository, get the green button just like we did before, copy the HTTPS link, and we're going to put that link in here. Create a batch command that will use git to clone a repository, blah blah blah, from this folder that is in to this folder that is in the same folder as the batch. Once it is cloned, use the Python .exe that is in this folder. Probably would have been quicker just to make this thing myself, to be honest, but I just wanted to show you guys you could do it this way. So I hold Shift, right click, and copy as path. And I want to make it relative, so I'm not going to give it the absolute path. To install the requirements, the blah blah. Once it is cloned, to use pip in the Python with python.exe that is in this folder to install the requirements for the repository using using the requirements.txt file found in the downloaded repository folder. And it should, what I was really after was it to basically make like this, these variables here, and then make the batch command so I can do this same process for multiple Git repositories. All right, so it basically it made this batch file here, and I will probably post this as text in the comments. The idea is that you just put each new repository in this list and do it here. Now you might be asking why I wouldn't just use the install manager or the ComfyUI manager to do this, and you can, but some of these don't get installed. Some of them have issues. So some of them like can't be installed through the manager. You have to install it this way. So I just figured, why not make a batch file that will do it beyond the manager. So it's really up to you if you want to do it this way. And I don't know, I don't think it should have this repo's name here. We can work on that, but I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. Now I'm gonna put it here, install custom nodes. I'm gonna edit this. And inside this text, I'm gonna just paste that. And now I can just put the repos that I need in here. I think it also somehow is a little bit more manageable this way because you can kind of see, and I'm just going to copy the link. You can just see if you have duplicate repos in there. So I'm just going to paste this. We'll see how well this works. Copy of this, clone. All right, once we get to the end of this list, we're just gonna copy this and we'll just make a few more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have cleaned this out. And really, this is all that this add-on does. It just does this whole batch command for you. So that's it. That's pretty much some of the last steps here. So I'm just going to pause it as I go through and paste these in. All right, so I've gone ahead and just copied all these repositories here and put that in our little batch file. And now I am going to close this out. Close. All right, and now I'm kind of just curious to see, now if I save this and I run this, let's just see if this even works. Nope, it doesn't even work. Anyways, I think I might just use the install manager to do this, to be honest. It's just sometimes when I use it, I tend to run into an issue where some of them don't seem to install correctly. So install correct all my nodes. All right, so it's setting up ComfyUI. They're setting up the manager. And then it wants you to restart. And that's normal for this. Sometimes you get errors in here, and that's my main concern. Is warnings are usually okay, but I want to catch any errors. And as you can see, it's a wall of text. So a lot of times it's hard to catch. So one thing you may want to do is install these one at a time. Otherwise, what I suggest doing is once it restarts here, kind of just going through this section by section and just kind of copy some of this wall of text. And it's really annoying when it is doing this. It really screws me up. And I like to go over to ChatGPT and just go, are there any errors? And if there are, it will tell you solutions. No outright errors. Okay, we don't care about the path stuff. Totally fine. All right, so that looked pretty good. I hate this with a passion. You gotta wait till a stupid thing finishes, or else it just keeps, every time you scroll up, it keeps coming down to the end here. All right, so now that that's done, we can kind of go through here. And like I said, I kind of just start from the top. All right, when I see these little stars, I kind of know that's another install here. And the thing is ChatGPT has like a limit to how much you can copy and paste. So I think what I'm actually going to do, first of all, I'm just going to try and paste all of it. But I have a feeling. Oh, yeah, it's way too long. I was wrong. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open like Notepad, File, New. I'm just going to paste this whole thing in there. And then I'm just going to copy, like, oh, where did we start? We started at 434, so I'm going to just do 334. I'm just going to do 100 lines. See if that's too much. Okay, we're looking good. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to delete this now. And then now we're at 332, so I'm going to come up to 232. Let's see, sorry, 232. I'm going to do Control X, Control V. We don't care about path stuff. Okay, everything was installed successfully. So now, let's see, we're at 230. We're going to do like 130. Control X. And I found that when I do this, sometimes I do find errors. So just because I got really lucky and everything installed okay, you should always double check this. Whoops. And then this shouldn't have anything because that was basically just it starting up. So anytime you do a bunch of nodes like this or a bunch of installs, I suggest doing this. Oh, let's see. We did get an error. Node ComfyUI dynamic prompt nightly not found. This installation of this node failed because it could not be found in expected repository or cache. You may need to manually download it. That may have actually been from the batch file.
This is
Yeah, so actually some residual from that batch file. Let me go into here, custom nodes. I mean, everything looks okay, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't see where this ComfyUI dynamic prompts nightly is. All right, so that's basically what I end up doing is I tend to use ChatGPT to get through the wall of text. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load up one of my other workflows. And in fact, what I recommend you do is if you have workflows already saved, like I do, you come in, go to your workflows, just copy them here, go into your newly installed AI, here, ComfyUI, go into user, default, Comfy Manager. Oh, where is this? All right, user, default. Okay, so it should just be a folder in there. So I'm going to go to the new AI, ComfyUI, users, user default. I'm just going to make a workflow. I think it's plural. I'm just going to paste these in here. Let me double check that. Workflow is plural. Yep. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and restart this. And I'm going to come over to here. And generally what I'll do is I'm going to delete this for now. This is kind of a waste of time. I generally make a shortcut here. Just so right when I go into this folder, I can start my run. Gonna delete those. Delete some of this. A lot of this was me just trying to figure out how to get this all to work. Create a shortcut. And rename run AI. There we go. Nice easy batch to use. Especially while I'm working on stuff and installing nodes and whatnot. See, this is the issue that I generally run into, is a lot of these nodes still don't install, even with the manager. And like I can't see some of these. Okay. Oh, here's that dynamic power prompt. Did not install correctly. Let me try installing this one. Restart. And this is where ChatGPT will come in handy, is if this fails to install. You can copy this, bring this over to ChatGPT. Oh, any errors? Installation failed. Path already exists. This isn't critical, but the system attempted to install the node again, and though it already exists in that directory, could be the result of redundant installation requests, possibly from a previous installation or update that retried. Okay, so here's kind of some of the errors that I end up getting. When I see something like this, I tend to just go manually install it. And let's see, can I get to the Git repo? Here we go. So I'm just going to copy this. Now you kind of see why I send it through ComfyUI. I'm sorry, ChatGPT. All right, so to manually install a node, I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to delete this attempted install because something went wrong with it apparently. So I'm going to come into the custom nodes folder. I'm going to run cmd. And now this is, I think I've already shown you this command before, but hopefully you saved this somewhere. So we need to get from the custom nodes back to, or no, I'm sorry, we need to do a git clone. That's the first step. So right here in the custom nodes folder, we just do git clone, and that green button link that we just downloaded, we're just gonna hit enter. We're gonna clone it right into here. Direct clone. Now is where we need to do that special command where we need to actually update this gguf. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make a new command prompt. And I didn't write this down, this command, so I'm just going to create it from scratch. // because I know I need to go back 3 folders. And then /python embedded /python.exe. And in fact, I'm going to make this a batch file. This is what I'm going to do. Install requirements.bat. Because this batch file is going to be exactly the same in every one of these folders, I think it makes sense to go ahead and make one of these. So we know we need to do 3 folders back. That gets us back to, and if you look, you can look at the path here. 1, 2, 3 gets us back to the Comfy portable win NVIDIA. That means we now do Python _embedded /python.exe and -m. Now we're going to run pip install -r requirements.text. And now I'm going to put a pause here because I'm going to want to see if there's any errors or anything. So we're going to save that. We're going to close this. Now, every time I put a new node in here, all I got to do is copy this batch file around. And in fact, I'll just put this here in the Comfy nodes folder. But I'll just copy it to the folders as I need them and then just run it. So you could not open requirements file, no such directory requirements. TEXT, whoops. It's just TXT. Sorry about that. We're going to modify this file save. Copy that to the custom nodes. Copy here. And yes, I'm going to replace it because I need to fix that issue. And then I'm going to run this. And there you go. That should automatically install the requirements. Now, there was a second one, I believe. This dynamic prompts. So I am going to click this to go to the repository. Get the actual link. I'm going to go back to our custom nodes. I'm going to do another git clone. And I just want to double check ComfyUI dynamic prompts. I don't see a dynamic prompts in here, so I'm going to just manually do this one. So we're going to come to custom nodes, cmd. We're going to just do git clone and just paste the link right in there, hit enter. Go ahead and let that download, and then I'm just going to take this, copy it into dynamic prompts, and just run it. And that should install all the requirements. So now hopefully that will fix the issue. We go ahead and close this out. I'm going to close out the server. And then for the AI, and then I'm going to go ahead and rerun it. And see now if I still get those errors or if they go away. All right, so the good news is it looks like most of them went away. It's just this mag cache one. And we can double check that. We can just hit Control-All, copy. And again, go to ChatGPT. Any issues? Paste it in there. And it says loaded without any issues. So that seemed to solve the issue. So sometimes you have to manually install it. Sometimes this fails on you, but I do still like it because it does help you find the nodes. Let's see, what is this one that's missing? It's mag cache. Mini cache. Mag cache. I'm not sure where this one comes from. But let's just try and Google it. Mag cache. All right, I think it's this guy here, and that's one of the advantages of knowing how to install it manually. I'm just going to copy the Git. And actually, there's a trick to even make this a little simpler. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm having a problem with this mag cache here. I'm going to put that macro install requirements here. And you can see that we're getting this error here. So I'm just going to copy this and go right into ChatGPT with it. And usually it gives some pretty good advice in here. Not all the time, but sometimes. So it looks like this node only runs on Python, which is interesting because I don't remember having this issue in the past. Unless I'm installing the wrong version. That's the only thing I can install, only thing I can think of. It looks like maybe there's a ComfyUI version. And so maybe I was installing... No, ComfyUI mag cache. All right, so I think I figured it out. I think it had to do with that whole batch file trying to rename things or whatnot. But I think I got a system that works, and it makes things a little bit easier, just ever so slightly. What I've done is I've got this batch file in here called clone repo, and here it is. It's pretty small. What it will do is if you have multiple repos or multiple nodes you need to install, you just go ahead and click on this, and it'll ask for the link. So now you just go to the get repo that you need. So you just do copy, and then you'll come in here and you just paste it and hit enter. It says that Magcache already exists. I'm just going to delete it because I want to show you how this works. So I'm going to paste it and hit enter. And now it will just clone the repo, and it's ready for another one. So you have multiple, if you have multiple ones you got to clone, you just don't have to type the command. It'll just keep doing it for you, and you just keep pasting and hitting enter. Once they're copied into here, then oh, I gotta find a copy of this. This install requirements, I move that into there. I just copy it, and then I just run it. And that will install the requirements, and then you're done. You don't have to type any commands. And then you just keep repeating that process until you have them all installed. When I did it that way, with those two batches, oh, and let me show you what this install requirements is. That's all it is. There's just that one line. Once I did it this way, all of a sudden it worked. So I closed everything out, and I just restarted the AI. And now that node is working. So I think what I'll do is I'll create a Git repository with some of these batch files and things that make your life easier. And I'll just put them on there and put a link to it down in the description. So hopefully that helps. But at least now you know how to manually go through and install stuff, and you'll have a batch to install things. You kind of see how the repo works, the manually installing nodes. You're up and running. Now for this stuff here, I'm gonna have to go through each one of my workflows, which they should be showing up here now. You can stretch them out a little bit. So you can just click on them and open them. But I'm gonna have to go through and just copy the ones I need into this folder, and then I think I'll be good to go. So hopefully this is helpful. Sorry at the end I got a little discombobulated because I wasn't quite sure how to go about some of these things. But at least now this should get you all the way fully up and running. So hope this helps.